And then my favorite Grandma Janet story is that she came to see Magic Mike.
Oh my God. Did she fall in love? Was she like amazed?
Yeah, so this was about 3 years ago. God, 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago, because it was pre-pandemic. And
Okay.
and my grandma was doing a lot better then. She's slowing down a little bit and her body is not doing as, she has a lot of balance issues now. But at the time, so 94, flew by herself, as you do, whatever, from Tennessee to Vegas. She came to see Magic Mike live. She sat in VIP. She loved it. After the show was done, Phil, she went, "That is my favorite play I have ever seen." And then she proceeded to write every single boy a thank you note. And she'd asked me, like, she specifically wanted to be like, "Okay, now which one is Benjamin? Like, what did he do in the show?" And so I'd like tell her each little thing that he did. So her notes were like, "I loved when you blah, blah, blah." Like, I mean, Grandma Janet is like everyone's life goals because she's just amazing. Oh my gosh, she's the best. And literally when I was home last, she loves old movies. So she was like, "Can you turn on like, oh God, what's that movie? With Liza Minnelli. It's like on the tip of my tongue. It's about that super rich guy.
Arthur.
Arthur. I want to say Arnold, and I knew that was wrong. So she and I watched Arthur in bed together.
Oh, I love that. So this isn't one of my questions today, but you're speaking of movies that she enjoys, but you also talked about her as being an inspiration. So are there any other women in your life, Liza Minnelli? I don't know. Is there anybody that you admire or have influenced you?
Oh my gosh, yes. I have a really big one, which is Debbie Reynolds. So again, growing up in Tennessee, I didn't really think that a normal person, like a person like me, could work in entertainment because no one I knew worked in this industry. Like the idea of Hollywood, it sounded like a foreign land. Like, so we would watch old movies though, because my parents, we never had like cable, like all these like really iconic like 80s and 90s things that people are like, "Oh yeah, I watched this." I'm like, "Oh no, we watched PBS." We were also poor. So like we just, I never watched anything except old movies. And in my child's mind, I was like, old movies are happening now. I need to grow up, move to Hollywood and marry Gene Kelly. Like that's my life plan. And Singing in the Rain was my number one movie that I loved, that I know every word to, that I just, that was like my like happy place of like, I'm going to grow up and do movies like Singing in the Rain. Fast forward, I was living in Vegas and I got to be friends with Debbie's musical director. She was performing in Vegas at the South Point. And so we got to go, and then I got to go backstage. Yes. And I go backstage and I love to cry. Like it's my number one activity. Like I always feel like any emotion, like happy, sad, mad, like my body is like, you should cry. So I could already feel it like, woo, cry, I want to cry. And then I was like, no, Chelsea, do not cry. So I went backstage. Debbie was sitting on the couch with her little dog. And like her son was there. All these people, they were so lovely to me. Like they kept trying to feed me. They were like, would you like some food? And I was like, no, I'm fine. So I go over and Joey Singer, her musical director, was like, "Debbie, this is Chelsea. She's a singer in town. She's a performer and like a big fan." I knelt before her, Phil, like she was the queen, because she was sitting on the couch and I was like standing up and I was wearing like high heels. So I was like very tall. So I literally like knelt like she was going to knight me. And so I knelt and I was like, "Debbie." And I think I just like, I said to her, I was like, I got to say all the things I wanted to say. I was like, "You're such an inspiration to me." And I grew up thinking Singing in the Rain was like a current movie that I could grow up and do. And I said, I still remember the day my mom told me, like, they're not making movies like that anymore. And she's like, "No, they're not making movies like that." And then she was like, "Come sit beside me." And so like, she like gestured to the couch and I'm just like, like I could just feel myself wanting to be like, and then as I was sitting down, she's like, "Don't sit on my dog." And I was like, I will not sit on your dog. Like I'm just going to crush her dog with my body. So we sit down, we take a picture together. She like signs a Singing in the Rain poster for me. I mean, dream come true. And so the best part is I had gone backstage. My husband, Steve, did not go backstage. He was waiting for me out in the casino at a bar. And the way he tells it is he saw me and I'm like walking towards him, like just walking, looking normal. And the closer I got to him, I was going, and I just like ugly cried.
I am so envious. I would have adored that opportunity. So it's so wonderful that you got to meet her and experience that. Really quick, tell us about your baby puppies.
Oh my gosh. I am a proud dog mother. We adopted 2 dogs in Vegas. So our first dog is Eva. I feel like if I say their names, they might come.
Okay.
So it's a funny story how we got her. So we knew we wanted to adopt a dog. My grandma Janet had pugs. And so I like love pugs. So I was like, I want a pug. I want a pug. So they had a pug at the shelter because we really wanted to adopt. So we go down to the NSPCA and they were like, sorry, that dog is in quarantine because it has kennel cough. Like you can't see him. So I'm like, so sad. So my husband is like, let's just walk around. Yeah. Let's look at the other dogs. Let's see if we see one. And I'm like, no, I will not see another dog. I only want a pug. We come to this one kennel and there is Eva. And she's propped up on the side sitting. And like, if she could have smoked a cigarette, like she just had this look on her face that was like, can you fucking believe this place? Like she just, you look at her face and you know she's a woman. Like, you know that she is a lady that is trapped in a dog's body. And like all the other dogs were going crazy and like barking and yapping. And there was Eva just like, another day at the shelter. So we're like, this dog. So we ask if we could like meet her and hold her. So we like, the person comes and like gets her out. We're sitting on the floor. She immediately gets on my husband's lap and goes, so we were like, that she picked us. Like she was like, you are my people. And she's a mutt. We think she's like a dachshund min pin. She has like a very doxy face.
Right.
Her and my husband are in love. They have a celebrity name. They're Steva. I will hear Steve like whispering and giggling in another room. And I'm like, what's going on? And I'll look over and him and Eva are like tickling and like cuddling. I'm very jealous.
So you're like the third wheel in this relationship.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, so this reminds me of the Peggy Lee character from Lady and the Tramp, like the way you describe her.
Totally. That's her. Yes.
What a dog, you know?
Yeah. And like when she walks, her like body shimmies in a way that I'm like, you're a hoe. You're a hoe for show. And then a couple months after Eva, we adopted our little guy, Louie, and we named him Louie because we named him after Lou Ferrigno, the Incredible Hulk. Because when we got him, he's a Chihuahua. He weighs 9 pounds. You could see like every rib, every vertebrae. He had like a puncture wound. And Steve was like, if we don't adopt this dog, no one else will. He is the most grateful dog. Like he knows we saved him. And like, I could just wear him like a scarf. Like he just wants to be on your body, like staring into your eyes, maybe licking your nostril. Like he's a lover.
Let's transition to your current gig. You appear at the SAHARA, a non-imploded historic Vegas venue.
Really?
So I want to hear about Magic Mike Live.
Yes. So I have been so lucky that I am an original cast member and one of the original MCs of Magic Mike Live. So we opened in 2017 at the Hard Rock. So this is Channing Tatum's love letter. You know, Channing is our director, producer. It's just the most joyous show. And I tell everyone, I'm like, it's so much different and better than what you think. Because like, I think some people might have a connotation of like, oh, it's a male review. It's just like greasy guys like doing a hump. But these men are the most incredible dancers in the world. They've danced for amazing artists like Janet Jackson and Britney. And like, they are amazing. And then most importantly, they're also like the sweetest guys. They've done such a good job with like casting men that are really gentle, lovely human beings, because the whole message of the show, and the coolest thing that I get to do is that I'm the female MC. So I always say I function as like the big sister to the audience, that we get to experience this together. And so I'm kind of there to be like, listen, there's no bad way or wrong way to experience the show. If you want to laugh, if you want to scream, if you just want to sit there quietly, all of those things are acceptable. And then we get to experience this together.
So walk me through a night as the MC of the show. Like, what's a typical night for you?
So our call time is a half hour. So we have to be there at 7. So I usually will like do my makeup beforehand, because I usually just wear makeup during the day. Not right now, you guys. I'm giving you a bare face. Sorry, Phil.
You look great.
Yeah. So I get there at 7. So we have 2 shows. We have a 7:30 show and a 10 o'clock show. I did the shows last night. I'm going to do them again tonight. Usually we alternate every other day, because there's another female MC that I share the role with, just because it saves our voices and our ears. And it's also it's a really difficult show to do physically, emotionally, because you're not playing a character, you're being yourself. And so you're really like asking people to come on this journey with you. It's a big job and a big responsibility. So we do 2 shows. We hang out in between. There's just a lot of naked guys.
Yeah. So do you get to sing? Or
no, I don't sing in the show. So I kind of pivoted a little bit, that I'm now doing comedy, which I feel like has always been my secret goal. Because even when I worked as a singer, I felt like I would get notes that were like, Chelsea, this is not supposed to be funny. Because I would I naturally like to laugh, and I think things are really absurd. So I like to like point them out. And so I've always loved comedy and making people laugh. So now doing this show has been so incredible, because that was the whole thing. When I first saw the casting notice for the show, I just clicked on it because I was nosy, because I didn't see anything about like a female MC. It literally just said like Magic Mike Live dancers. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'm going to click on that. Thank God I did. So I like clicked on it. And then at the very bottom of the casting notice, they were like, we're also casting a female comedian to host the show. And I was like, people think I'm hilarious. I submitted all my stuff, my headshot and my reel and all this stuff. And so then I got an appointment. And so the audition was like, prepare like a 5-minute comedy routine about what women really want. So I like wrote this routine. I performed it for Steve and the dogs. They loved it. And so, yeah. So then I was like, I'm just going to do this. And it's one of those things that like, sometimes you have to take like some incredible risks. So not having a background in comedy, I went in and I auditioned and I got it.
Congratulations. You have, and I know we haven't formally met in person, but you have this natural comedic ability. And I can see how an audience would just feel very safe under in your presence at this show. So, I'm so glad that, what?
Oh, I was just going to say, have you seen Magic Mike?
This whole episode, that recording, I've told you all the things that I have never done in my life. So no.
I am mad at you. Oh my God, you have to come. Can you come tonight?
I don't know. Look at me. This is me. When I'm not in front of this camera, I am in this bed.
Well, you've got to come. Please come, because I know you would have an incredible time. It's so much fun.
I know I would have a blast, so we'll discuss my presence at the show, because I'm very curious, even more so now, because you talked about how they vet the cast and how they don't just cast any, man off the street. There's some criteria. You appeared in a show that is airing now on HBO Max. Welcome to the HBO Max edition of Netflix and Chill. That show is Finding Magic Mike. And what episode do you appear in of that?
So I have a cameo in episode 2.
Excellent. So I started watching the series and I'm like glued, and you talk about crying. And so true transparency, I'm watching the episode you appear in last night, and then I'm continuing to watch it. And I love reality shows, and like I watch RuPaul's Drag Race, and you see contestants get eliminated every week. So this happens in Finding Magic Mike, and I'm watching it, and I'm literally crying as they do their performance at the SAHARA, and then one of the poor gentlemen get eliminated at the end of the episode.
That's what is so incredible about Finding Magic Mike please check it out on HBO Max, you guys. They wanted to do a show. It's a competition reality show where regular guys from across America get to compete to be in Magic Mike. And these are guys that maybe have like kind of lost their mojo, lost their magic. And again, the incredible thing about Magic Mike and like the whole concept behind it is it's like a very empowering show. It's a show that no matter who you are, makes you feel good, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman. It's a show that's supposed to like make you feel loved and seen and valued. And so that's what I think is so incredible that they did on the reality show is that you really connect to these guys and you love them and you care about them and you're so invested that, and you also get to see men be vulnerable, and show emotion and all these things and it's really powerful.
Well, and that's kind of a testament to, you mentioned Channing Tatum, his vision
Yeah.
and his real life experience, because my understanding is he started out performing in a male review. And so this is pretty much autobiographical, the motion pictures Magic Mike.
Yeah.
I assume you've met Mr. Tatum. Is that accurate?
Yeah. So Chan is the director of the show.
Right.
So I auditioned for him. So that was my third callback. So I auditioned once in person for like our choreographer co-directors. Our incredible co-director is Allison Falk, who, danced for Janet, danced for Brittany. She choreographed all the Magic Mike movies. So again, another cool thing about Magic Mike is it's all choreographed by a woman, which is awesome. And so I had auditioned for them, and then I had like a video callback where I had to record something to send to Channing. But then my last audition was they actually flew me to LA to interview with him.
Wow.
Yeah. And so then when I got the job and we started rehearsals, we rehearsed in LA and he was there every single day. I mean, he's truly the most hands-on guy. And again, kind of like Dolly, where I'm like, in case you need more reason to love Channing Tatum, he is the most loving, kind. I mean, I think the first thing he ever said to me was like, I'm a hugger. And I was like, I'm a kisser. He's just lovely. I can't say enough good stuff about him.
Well, that's wonderful. And I'm glad to hear you had that experience. And I just learned that they're creating or producing a third and perhaps final Magic Mike movie, which is wonderful news to hear.
Oh, exciting. Yeah. We actually had Steven Soderbergh just at the show in August, which was so exciting to meet him. And they're starting production now on, the third and final installment of the Magic Mike movies.
Well, that is exciting news to hear. And I want to say, Chelsea, it has been such a pleasure. This has felt more just like a conversation with an old friend that I have yet to formally meet.
Oh my God. I know. When you said that, like we haven't met, I'm like, that's so wild because I do feel so like I know you and I love chatting to you.
Well, and I think we have a lot of fellow or what's the phrase, friends that we have in common.
Friends.
Yeah, we have a lot of mutual friends. So I've heard of you. I think we have a mutual friend that talked to me about your starting up Magic Mike Live at Hard Rock. So, so we have all these connections. I just haven't met you yet.
Well, hopefully you can come see Magic Mike.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll make this happen.
Well, let's talk about it. I'm going to push the record button so we stop, but we can talk about that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on the show. This was so fun, and I just think the world of you. So this was great. Thank you.
Chelsea Phillips-Reid, the Side Hustle podcast with Sarah Lowe. Check it out. And that has been Netflix and Phil, the HBO Max edition. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.